Okay, today we're going to get started on the main sections in our textbook. In your textbook, which I have an online version here, this is where the textbook starts, working with Microsoft Office. So I have the online version. I love the online because I can bring it up on my screen, I can demonstrate it to you, and it is the Office 2021 textbook. And where did it go? Let's see. I had it here. But before we get into those projects that are listed in your textbook, let's just take a look at what in the world an application is. When I go to run Word, which we're going to be doing, what actually is happening? Well, let's find out. I'm going to go to my desktop by going to my File Explorer, or just closing or minimizing the current application. And I see that I do have a Word icon sitting here on my desktop. Well, suppose that icon weren't there. If I wanted to run Word, I could just come down to my search bar or hit my Windows key, lower left Windows key, and type whatever application I'm looking for, Word. As soon as that's highlighted, I could hit enter and it would run my application. But the question is, what is going on in the background? When I hit enter, what controls what happens here? Let's do a little right clicking to find out, a little exploring here. If I right click, I have the choice of running it as administrator. That means when I run a program as administrator, whatever that program does, it has administrator privileges. Like, I can destroy everything in a computer as administrator. I can erase system files, which is not something you want something to do. So most of the time, you do not want to run as administrator, because that gives whatever those instructions are complete power over your computer. And that's why the computer is kind of keeping it safe. By default, you're not running as administrator. And if it is, it often pops up a little question. Are you sure you want to do this? And then, of course, may ask for a password, because you don't want to accidentally destroy things. Another thing I can do is open my file location. Let's see what that's about. I can click open file location, and what that does, it takes me to what this icon is actually connected to. This icon called Word is actually a file located over here in this location on the C drive, special folder called Program Data, Microsoft Windows, Start Menu Programs. So if you'd like to explore there, that's fine. But this is just telling you that that program is actually a link to this program, this little set of instructions, or it's actually a shortcut over in this location. Okay, well, that's not enough. That just tells me, well, there is a shortcut. I can see if I view the large icons that Word application down there is actually has a little arrow on it. That means it's a shortcut to another location. Let's right click on that and look at the properties of that. Right click properties, and I see that the Word shortcut sitting over there in C Program Data as Microsoft Windows is actually taking me to Program Files, Microsoft Office, root Office 16, WinWord.exe. That is the actual location of all the instructions that Microsoft Word has associated with it. That is the program. The .exe is another clue that it's the program. And it is a rather large program. Let's actually go over there and see how large that program is. I'm going to bring up my File Explorer, and I'm going to browse over to that location, Program Files, Microsoft Office root. Let's see if it'll let me browse over to there. So I go over to C drive, Program Files, Microsoft Office. Oh, and as I'm in Program Files, I see a lot of other applications that have been installed on my computer, and I just hate this automatic locating of my windows. It shows that there's lots of other things in Program Files, and there's lots of Microsoft things. There's Microsoft Office. Down in there, it was Office 16, and where is that? Oh, root. Let's see, there's a root folder. There's the red folder. There's the Office 16. And finally, I see way down in there, among lots of other programs to just be super confusing, is finally the winword.exe. It is an application, 1.6 megabytes. So that's the actual program that runs when I run Word. Just to show you that applications, the things hiding under these icons, can take you to someplace down in the depths of Windows where there's an actual program running. Anytime you're running an application, it's associated with some file in your system, a special file, and there's even a little picture associated with that file. That is the program that runs. Telling me, first of all, don't go mess around with the files that you see in C program files. If you move things around or rename things, you can break the connection to programs, and of course you can always reinstall Windows, but just give you a little idea what's behind that icon. It is actually running the instructions somewhere hidden in your system. Now back to the Office Suite and alternatives. If I click on Search Office, type Office, I see that there is Word, there's Microsoft. Other things show up even though I'm only searching for Office, and I can even search on the web for things. There's lots of things, folders in my system with the word Office in them, but the first thing that shows up is the Word app. Excel is associated with Office, and PowerPoint is associated with Office. Those are applications available that will work with Office. But if I go online and look for alternatives, I'm just going to go up to Firefox and search for Office Alternatives. That's a favorite word to search for, Office Alternatives. It will show you that there are plenty of other things that are alternatives to Office. And you can try them. What I like to find out is the free stuff. I have used LibreOffice. It's not as fancy as Microsoft Office, but the price is right. If you're working for an organization that can't afford Office, even though they give you a pretty good deal, there are plenty of other places to go, and the cloud is probably one of the first places I'd go. Use Google Docs or use Office.com. I think you can get a free Office.com account, but I love Google Docs, and LibreOffice is a great application as well. So lots of alternatives, and usually you can share files between them. Okay, now let's get going on our first Word project by starting up Word, and I'll pop up the textbook here real quick to show you what we'll be doing for our first project. The first project is creating something like this. We're going to create a flyer with some nice graphics and numbered lists, bulleted lists, adjusting font sizes and theme colors, creating links. So something fairly simple. This is the target of our first project. But let's go back a page here. When you're looking through the book or when you're starting a chapter, remember there is a quiz that goes with each chapter now. The quizzes are, again, open book, open notes. You can take them with a friend. It's just giving you credit for reviewing the material. You could, just as a practice, try the quiz before you start the chapter. Just say, hey, do I know all of this stuff already? Take the quiz. It'll get your mind thinking about things that maybe aren't obvious, and read through what this chapter is about. It's fairly organized. It tells you, here's what we're going to learn in this chapter. Review this and just see, hey, does all this stuff obvious to me? Or is a few of these things I haven't done much, like adjusting margins or adding a page border. Do I know how to do that? You can jump right to that section and say, oh, I'm going to check that out. Everything else, oh, I know all this stuff, and we'll work through the project. Yes?
Is it unlimited retakes?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, unlimited retakes on the quizzes. And it's, again, you're giving you credit just for you reviewing the material in a different way. No reason not to have that done on time. But I'd say, hey, if you want to really learn, try it. But don't take it during class. We don't want you doing quizzes during class. That's just distracting, and we want you to, we'll mostly be doing the hands-on part in class. Okay? So this textbook, I'd say look at that. And the textbook, even though it's really thick, it's mostly a lot of pictures of what you'll be doing and some extra things like it gives you a little bit of startup, how it starts, and what it does a little discussion of what a Word app is. And then it also walks you through all the things on the menu that will be mostly learning just by using them. So it discusses all the meanings of things, what we're going to be doing, and then one by one shows you explanations of your ribbon. And we'll be doing that as we go. So let's get started. In the textbook, we're going to be coming right down to beginning adding content, and then we'll come back and pretty up our document. Okay, so let's get Word started by, again, I'm going to click on search for Word at first. I could have gone to my desktop. And because I'm planning on using Word a lot, I'm going to right click, pin to taskbar. It's your choice whether you want to pin to your taskbar. I kind of find it handy. And then I can hit enter or click on here to start Word. And Word starts right up, giving me the choice of starting a new document. So I'm going to go ahead and click blank document. And this pops me up into my main Word interface. Now just before we start typing text, I'm going to view this file icon, or the file menu. File is a special one. We call it our backstage. File account. This shows me what I'm actually running as my application. I am actually running Microsoft Office LTSC Professional Plus 2021. If you have Word on your own computer, it's worth checking out what is your product that you're running, because this product, depending on what your product is, you may have different capabilities here. The one that you may not have is a little access icon, but most of them do have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Notes, Publisher, and Teams. They want you to use Teams all the time. It's so annoying that they even make Teams start, even though you're not planning to use it. Team will start in the background and use up your memory just to slow you down. But this shows you what you have, and you can even verify what your product key is and check for any updates. So this shows you exactly what you have as your application. Sometimes you need to know that when they say, oh, something broke. Oh, what version are you running? Let me check. Office or backstage account. To get out of backstage, just click the little left going arrow in the upper left, and you're back to the document. All right, now it's time to begin entering text, and as we go, we will begin to use our ribbon. Oh, and by the way, the ribbon you can turn on and off. Double click on a tab, and your ribbon is hidden. If you need to see the ribbon, click on a tab, it pops up. Click off it, it disappears. If you don't want to auto hide it, double click, and it's back. Kind of a handy thing to know. Now let's start entering text. That's going to become a lovely poster about personal hygiene. That's very important for college students. And we're going to start by, first of all, adjusting our margins. We can grab the ruler and adjust our margins here and here, but an easier way to adjust your margins is to go to the Layout tab and click Margins. There's built-in sets of margins: narrow, normal, moderate, wide, mirrored. We're going to choose the narrow margins. Just in case you ever want to make custom margins, I can choose narrow and then go down to custom margins. I see that narrow margins have turned my top left, bottom right, all to 1/2 inch. You can always change these by hand by customizing your margins by going to the margins arrow, custom margins way at the bottom. This allows you to put whatever margins you want in your page setup dialog. This is called the dialog of the page setup, where you can choose lots of options for your page setup. And you could even set it as your default. I'm not going to set it as my default. And under the page setup, you have lots of other little menus giving you special settings for all sorts of things. We're not going to mess with those unless we know what we're doing, because you could get very confused by adjusting things accidentally. So now we've chosen narrow margins. If you don't have the ruler visible, you can always go to View and check on the ruler. Mine was turned on by default. You can turn off the ruler if that's annoying to see it. I usually like to see it because it shows me where my margins are, where my indents are. Those little carets are handy for us. Okay, now let's start entering some content for our document. We have the little insertion bar showing where, when we type, that's where the text will appear. And we begin with, very important, title of our little flyer is going to be wash your hands. We're going to put this up in the washroom at the camp where we're counseling, or in our dorms. We're finding our students everyone's getting sick because they have dirty hands. We don't want that. And even though I don't capitalize, I'm going to come back later and make it all caps. We're going to use a menu to make that all caps. And I'm going to turn on my home menu. We'll be coming back here and adjusting our centering of our lines. We're just leaving it all by default, left aligned, and just entering the content. And let's see, we have more to enter as we type. Here's the rest of the content we're putting in here. Oh, and in the book they have you turn on your paragraph formatting. Show or hide your paragraph formatting. This is handy sometimes to know exactly where your paragraphs have started and ended. Most of the times it's a lot of visual noise, so most of the time I turn it off. But in case you ever want to know, where did my paragraph start, turn it on and see, oh yeah, that's the backwards P is where I started a new paragraph. I'm going to turn it off for now just to make it easier for you to read as we enter our text of washing your hands. My typo's in there. With soap and water. Oh, I had one typo. I had multiple typos in the previous section. Right click anytime you see a red squiggly. You can right click and see, can it guess what I meant to spell? Or you can just double click and retype the word. Double click. Or I like the right click, let it correct it itself. If you ever misspell it, you can just double click a word and start typing again. Anytime you have something selected and the next thing you type will replace what's selected. New line, and we will add more text. We are going to turn this later into a numbered list, but for now we're just going to start the heading. That's going to become our numbered list. And now start typing the items here. Wet hands with clean running water and apply soap. It did autocorrect my misspelling. Sometimes it will autocorrect without you having to do anything. And we'll come back to that. Lather. Anytime you see red squiggles, you can wait till later, or you can right click, try to fix the error, and continue. Scrub. Sing your favorite 20-second long song. And let's see if it knows that spelling correction. No, it didn't get that, so I double click hands. And one more. Rinse. Clean running water is the key. And of course, dry hands. Now we are going to bring later on an image between this line and the next bulleted list, so we're going to leave an empty line by hitting enter twice, and just to verify, turning on the formatting marks, I see that I have an extra paragraph there with nothing in it. And now the bulleted list that's going to be placed below a picture we'll be inserting later, which will have the contents of when question mark. Well, after eating. I'd say before eating, even more important. Because this is a bulleted list, we don't need to put periods after the lines like we did with a numbered list. After, oh, and that's going to be the end of our bulleted list. We will be also adding a little visit of a web page. And it automatically turned it into a hyperlink. Part of the auto correction. Now, something I have learned now that I'm a grandfather for the 5th time, I have learned before holding someone's baby, more and more those young parents are wanting you to wash your hands, sanitize your hands before they'll let you hold their baby. And if you love holding people's babies, something that you might want to just automatically do and make those parents love you because you're paying attention to them, especially if it's your first child. That first child, you wash your hands. Third child or number 5th child like I am, I doubt they even worried about that. But these days, especially after the last few years, and of course it's not a bad idea because sometimes those babies, although I think they have a strong immune system, it's good to show that gesture towards those new parents, that especially that first child. They're so doting on that, and it's just a good thing to do to make those parents happy. I've learned that as a grandfather. The first 4, I don't think they ever said, oh, granddad, wash your hands first. We always would try to, of course you didn't have grubby hands, but this new one, they're really uptight about that. So think about that when you're helping with kids. And remember, anyone working with kids, they often have a lot of sniffly noses. I'd say good thing to help yourself. Okay, we've done a lot of typing. We have not saved this data yet. If we logged out right now, it would ask us, would you like to save that file first? If you did a switch user, it's not going to ask because it's thinking, you're just stepping away for a second. It's always good to have a backup or save your document. And Word has been pretty nice to us. Since about 20 years ago, or maybe not all that far, maybe 10 years ago, Word would automatically make a backup copy even if you have forgotten to save it. But it's really hard to go find it. If you start Word, it will say, hey, you left something unsaved. I have it in the recovery location. But rather than have to trust Word to have a backup of this, let's do a save. Now, like many things Microsoft, there are multiple ways to do a save of your file. There's a little icon up there showing what's supposed to be what floppy disks look like that you probably have never seen. Or Control S is the shortcut key. Or you can go File, click on the File tab, and Save or Save As. Since we have not saved it yet, it will ask us for the first time, what do you want to name it? And you can then decide not only what its name is going to be, but where to put it. If you want to save it to your OneDrive, you are welcome to. I do not like with the OneDrive. I don't trust it. I'm going to save it to my location on my local computer in my Documents folder. That's probably the best place for you. I have another place that I have saving my files on a separate drive. I have an AT Manning folder with Fundamentals of Computing and this semester, and I need a section 2. There it is. I'm not sure if that's the right one. I'm going to make a cs101-1. I'm going to click New Folder while I'm here and going to Save As. I'm going to make a new folder called cs101-2. Hit Enter and hit Enter again. And now is where I get to decide the name of my file. I'm going to put in front of that wash your hands that it took from the title at this in the first line. I'm going to put my last name, WD1, as the heading, the prefix to my file name. Now you could leave wash your hands in there, but at least put your last name WD1 just in case it gets lost or I have multiple files there. I know which one was yours when I go to download them from Populi. So now I'm saving it. Oh, and by the way, when I save it, I have the choice of multiple styles, multiple formats. Of course, .docx is the correct format, but if ever I wanted to save it as a web page, I can save it in HTML format. I can save it in rich text format. Remember that WordPad knows rich text format? I could save it just as plain text or as an open document. Remember that LibreOffice, OpenOffice? They use ODT format, maybe a more universal format. I can't save it as a PDF because PDFs aren't editable from Word. But any of these formats are possible for me if I want to share it for someone that has a different alternative document editor. But I'm sticking with the default. And now that I know what its name is going to be and where it's located, make sure I know exactly, Documents folder would be a good spot, name, and save. And now it shows the new name up here, and I know that next time I do a Control S, it will save my recent changes. Unlike in the cloud, remember in the cloud, as I edit documents in the cloud, they automatically change. There is no, oh, I have to remember to save this. When you're running an application, this information is only in memory and in a hard to find temporary location when Microsoft decides to do a save to your temporary location. Most of the time, all you have here, think of it as it's only in memory. If I unplug my computer, it's gone. So do a save, Control S, and do it often. You can turn on autosave and it will, oh, I thought I had it on. Looks like my autosave is off. I'm going to turn autosave on and, oh, no thank you. It wants me to work in the cloud first, and no, I'm not going to go to the cloud. So I'm leaving autosave off. Looks like it only will do that autosave if you're connected to the cloud. Again, trying to pull you in to be enslaved to their system, and I don't want to be enslaved to their system. All right, we have the text. Now we're going to start formatting our document, making it all pretty like, and I have a picture of what we're going to be doing here. Let me go out to that page after we've done all this content, saving it. Now here's what we're going to be doing next. We're going to change it from this plain text to this beautiful, attractive, attention-grabbing flyer. That's what we're going to put on the door to the restroom or a door to the kitchen. Before you can work with the food, here's how to wash your hands. And it's going to have a lovely picture. Okay, so now let's get ready to do that. First thing we're going to start top to bottom with that first paragraph. We're going to format this first paragraph. Well, we see in what we want to do here that we want that first paragraph to be centered, and that second paragraph is also going to be centered. Okay, so let's get this first paragraph looking like this. So here's how we're going to do it. Click on that paragraph and center it. How do I center it? Home tab, the paragraph menu over here on the ribbon, hovering over the center, and I see that Control E will also center my content on the page. Notice I do not have to have the paragraph selected. Anything in this paragraph section on your ribbon applies to whatever paragraph you happen to be in. Now, if you do want to apply centering to multiple paragraphs, that's when it's a good idea to select through multiple paragraphs. Now when I center, it will center all the paragraphs that I currently have selected. But for now, I'm in that paragraph, center it. Click on this paragraph, center, it centers that paragraph. So paragraph applies to whatever paragraph I happen to be either selected or currently have my insertion point in. And while I'm there, let's adjust the shading of that paragraph. Let's go ahead and shade this paragraph I'm in. Oh, this paragraph we're going to shade. Click on that paragraph. Let's shade that paragraph with a third from the right, second from the bottom color. Right now it's an ugly brownish color. And I realize that, you know what? Since I'm going to want to make this having to do with personal hygiene, brown is probably not a good color to use in a thinking of personal hygiene or a dirt color. Let's go to design. Let's choose a different theme. Well, I could choose different colors and only worry about colors, but I want to choose a theme that applies some style, colors, and fonts to my document. So underneath themes, let's see what themes I have available. And in the book, they would like us to choose the gallery theme. So now, notice that third from the right color is now a purpley color because the color table changes with my theme. So the theme that we want to use is gallery. We may come back later and even choose a different theme that makes us even think more hygienic, because blues and bluish makes you think more hygienic. But we'll go with gallery for now. And now let's come back to this paragraph, and we have the shadiness going, but now we do want to change the font of that wash your hands. And how do we change the font? Well, we go to the Home tab. We want to select all this font. Well, I can click and drag through to select all the words. I can triple click in that paragraph to select the whole paragraph. Or I can click in the left margin. Anytime I click on the left margin, it selects that entire line by clicking in the left margin. So click here, select everything in that paragraph. Triple click, select everything. Or click and drag through to select everything. Now we're going to change the font size to 36. I can come over here and choose my font size here. Or did you notice a little menu pops up when I select it? If that pops up, I can change the font size there to 36. Or while it's selected, I can use my Control Shift greater than and less than to adjust my font size. I love the Control Shift greater than less than. Steps through my different font sizes. Or I could choose a font size here by just hovering over that size. Now suppose I want a font size of 50 and it's not in my list. I could type 50 here and it will estimate the font size of 50 based on partially between the 48 and the 72. So you can choose a font size that's not in the list, which a lot of people don't know that. Now you know something cool. Okay, there's the font size, 36. Now I want the font choice of my font, the type of the actual font. Instead of the default Gill Sans, I want Rockwell. I can start typing R-O-C-K And it will take me down into the R's if it's not already showing in recently used. Down in Rockwell in the R's, there's Rockwell Extra Bold. Choose Rockwell Extra Bold. And now I have Wash Your Hands in Rockwell Extra Bold. It's not quite readable, dark on dark purple. Let's change that font style now, font effects and typography, to the white solid, outline of red, accent color one, glow of red, and accent color one also. These are the can styles. That's cool 3D style. But we're going to choose the second row, second from the right. Now the capitalization, we want it to be all caps. Rather than retyping it all, I can come over here and change it to all uppercase. Now I could capitalize each word, could make it all lowercase, toggle case from whatever it is, or choose all uppercase. And now I have a lovely paragraph shaded in purple. But I want to show you a better way that, especially if you're doing flyers and things, knowing how to do graphics besides shading paragraphs. Let me show you another way that the book does not show you, but I think it's kind of a handy thing to know. And I learned this because my first editor that I used was Pages, Adobe Pages, and we never did shading of paragraphs there. Here's how we did it there, and more of the fancy publisher-like software that does more fancy graphics. Here's the way they usually do it. I'm going to do insert text box, insert text box. I'm going to draw the text box, and I click and drag a text box of the same shape. I'm going to put it right on top of it so I can estimate all about the same size. So now I have a text box. I'm going to type the text, always wash your hands, right? Or wash your hands. Wash your hands. Exclamation point. Select all, Control A. Control Shift greater than all the way up to 36 point. And I don't see the size unless I'm watching my home tab. There's 26, go a little high, taller. 36. Center it in that text box. And change the style to the red outline, solid inside. Change it to all uppercase. And now instead of shading the paragraph, I go to the shape format that is available for text boxes, and I change my shape fill to be that second from the bottom, third color column, and change the outline to no outline. And oh, I forgot to change the font to Rockwell Extra Bold. So go back to the Home tab and change the font to Rockwell Extra Bold. It remembers as my recently used font. Now look what I have. It looks the same right now, but I can do a lot more with text boxes and shapes. Under the shape format, I can add some shape effects, like some 3D effect of my shape, a shadow, always cool graphic effect, a reflection, a glow, soft edges, a bevel, lots of cool things, 3D rotation, or even when it's selected, I can rotate it on the poster. So text boxes, rather than shaded paragraphs, give you a lot more capability. I made it look exactly like the shaded paragraph, and I'm going to make it exactly the same height of the paragraph. And see if I can make it exactly the same, well, close to the same width and height. But this is a nice, handy thing to know. I can make it sit above the text or have the text wrap around it. But knowing how to do floating, I call them floating text boxes, especially for things like flyers and posters, you can adjust where they are on the graphics, much more customized. Paragraphs, they're stuck where they are. You can move them, but you can't rotate them or add cool graphic effects. So I just wanted to give you a hint at that, just because that's a good skill to know that they don't teach you I think it's something that it's worth knowing, because the fancier graphic or document programs do that. Okay, so we have that, and I can adjust the position of that. Shaded paragraph or this. And let's see what else we need to do. Let's go ahead and now do another save. Control S, save. And let's check what we have here. We have the text. We don't have any red squigglies. Oh, and notice how this got changed into a hyperlink without me asking it. Anytime it does an autocorrect on you, you will hover over that. You can see the little line underneath saying, hey, I auto-corrected this. If you didn't want that to be changed, you can hover over that little lightning box, click the down arrow and say, oh, undo the automatically creating a hyperlink, or just say undo it for this one. Now, it did auto-spell some things, and I don't really know what it auto-corrected unless I hover over the word that it may have auto-corrected. And I don't remember which one it did. But if it ever does autocorrect, let me just do that. I'm going to type before without capitalizing it. Before, space. See how it autocorrected the B to be a capital B when I hit the space? And I've come back here, notice that it has an outline because it shows, oh, I autocorrected that. If I really wanted that to be lowercase, I could come here and say, oh, stop or undo that automatic fix that you did. Sometimes it will autocorrect in an annoying way. Oh, and here's one case where I had too many spaces between words. That's a grammar error, not a spelling error. I can hover over that and it will suggest, oh, remove the extra space. And it will fix that for me. So as you're typing, you will get red squigglies for spelling errors, blue squigglies for possible grammar errors. The right click is your friend. Yes, Ethan?
Is there a way to turn autocorrect off?
Yes, you can completely turn off autocorrecting. And that would be, I'm going to do a Control S save. If you ever find something that you don't want happening, usually it's over here in File, Options, or More. Or sorry, File, there, More Options. Here you can adjust your auto-correcting things. Is that under Advanced? Somewhere there's auto-correct options.
Okay.
But I don't remember now how to. I know one way to get to them. Here's a way to get to them. If I ever find something auto-corrected, I can here, and there it takes me to my auto-format options. And here's where I can adjust all my autocorrects, and where I can turn off any autocorrections. I think there's another way to get it through the file menu, but you can always get through here. Anytime something's been autocorrected, take me there and let me adjust my autocorrect. I can even adjust what gets autocorrected, and that's something we do on a future project. All right, we will end there. Next session, we will be finishing up this because the rest is pretty easy and giving you little extra pointers and tips along the way. Your job, I'd say, for the weekend, maybe try the quiz. You might find, if you've done Word before, that this stuff is pretty easy. And the quiz will kind of direct you to the things that, oh, maybe you didn't know that shortcut, or I think it goes over shortcuts. It goes over what are the items in the ribbon. And it never hurts to be, if you're familiar with Word already, I would challenge you to explore the other ribbons that maybe you don't use so much and get familiar with them, because there's a lot of cool capabilities that a lot of people don't understand. You're welcome to explore in this course, but we want to be sure everyone understands the basics. I'm going to do a Control S before I leave and close the document to make sure that it is closed and ready for next time. Have a wonderful day.